soldiers attack Palestinian worshippers. Jerusalem, East Jerusalem, was occupied in 1967. That's nearly 60 years ago, when Israel attacked, invaded, and militarily occupied East Jerusalem, Gaza, and the West Bank. They wanted to complete the invasion and occupation of 1948. Imagine being at prayer in a church, like maybe Great St. Mary's over there, or in a mosque here in Cambridge, when heavily armed police rush in and start beating you. The beatings on the video went on so long that it reminded me of the breaking their bones policy from the late 1980s, when film of about 40 minutes long showed Israeli soldiers beating Palestinians to literally break their bones. That was shown around the world. The BBC and the previous speakers have alluded to this, and other racist media repeated the Israeli propaganda, that's lies, about what happened until they had to show the videos. That's the reason I don't pay the TV license and I don't watch the BBC. I'm not going to fund propaganda. You heard about the recent earthquake in Turkey and Syria and the horrendous death toll. But did you know that after that earthquake, Israel bombed Syria? Yes, a country suffering from a devastating earthquake was bombed by Israel. It bombed Damascus, the capital, and the international airport. That's the airport where some countries had sent food by plane. The Israelis bombed Gaza again. Gaza is the world's biggest ever concentration camp. You can't go in, you can't get out unless the Israelis let you. When they bomb Gaza and they kill Palestinians, they call it mowing the grass. I calculated that in the past 20 years, the Israelis shoot a Palestinian child dead every 2 or 3 days. Already, this year in the West Bank, they have shot over 100 Palestinians, some of them children, and of course that includes the famous journalist. She was shot despite them knowing that she was a journalist. She wore a helmet and a flak jacket. They shot her very carefully in the neck. Israel runs Jewish-only roads. Those are modern roads where Palestinians are forbidden to use them. They have to use the old roads. Israel has created illegal settlements on their conquered land, where Jewish-only residents have lawns with sprinklers and swimming pools fed with stolen water. The neighboring Palestinian towns and villages only have water for 2 or 3 days a week. They have to store up water so that they don't run out. Israel legalized the use of torture on Palestinians, the only country in the world where torture was legal. Because of that, Israeli intellectual Professor Leibowitz called the legalized use of torture a Nazi mentality dominant in Israel, and he called them Judeo-Nazis. Israelis want to make life so difficult that the Palestinians have to leave. It's called Lebensraum, living space. That's why Israel and Zionism is so violent and so racist. They treat the Palestinians as Untermenschen, under people. It's in the DNA. It was always like that from the very beginning, in 1897. You cannot take away, 1897 was the first Zionist Congress. You cannot take away someone's home or someone's farm without violence and without racism. Today, Israel's government is dominated by right-wing or fascist religious fanatics. But Israel's worst crimes of ethnic cleansing and massacres, the massacres of Dar Yassin, Tantura, and Dawayma, were carried out by so-called left-wing atheists. Herzl, the founder of Zionism, wrote in his diary around about 1897 that he wanted to secretly spirit away the Palestinian population. But at the same time, he was publicly stating that there was no threat of displacement for the Arab inhabitants of Palestine. Chaim Weizmann, the next important leader of Zionism, was also an atheist. He knew that creating a Jewish state meant expelling the Palestinians, but he never stated it publicly. Another atheist, David Ben-Gurion, the next leader and the future Prime Minister of Israel, the first Prime Minister of Israel, he was the one who organized the massacres and expulsions in 1948. He was the one, in a 1937 letter to his son, wrote, "We must expel Arabs and take their place." Right from the beginning, Zionism and Israel was racist and violent. We need to support BDS, boycott, divestment and sanctions. Don't buy Israeli dates or anything else from Israel. Oppose attempts to deny that there's apartheid in Israel. Israel's own human rights group, B'Tselem, the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Human Rights, in the OPT, Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch, and also former Israeli Attorney General Michael Ben-Yair, all were forced to admit that Israel practices apartheid. Apartheid is a crime against humanity. Even President Jimmy Carter called Israel an apartheid state. Support groups like Palestinian Action, who have targeted Israeli arms manufacturer Elbit and are shutting it down. Elbit markets its weapons as battle-tested on Palestinian bodies. We have a lot of work to do. Let's get on with it. Thank you.